Welcome. This is the first time Graph Expo has added a creative professional session. Over the years, Graph Expo has seen a rise in creative professionals attending the session because, I mean, the exhibits are unbelievable and what is happening today in the print world is pretty interesting. So there's a lot for us to see and do. We have three men with us today that are going to share kind of their vision of what's happening in our world. They are all each finely attuned to the pulse of what's happening in design in the Americas. From the U.S., we have Gordon Kay on the end. He is the editor and publisher of Graphic Design USA and its offshoots, which are gdusa.com website. We also have from Mexico, Luis Reynoso, who is the editorial director for Redisino, which is Red Design, covering what's happening in the world of design in Mexico and around the world. He is also the publisher of Bazar Grafico, and literally, I understand, just finished Design Fest, which he produces in Mexico, a huge trade show for the design industry. And then from Canada, in the middle, we have Doug Bennett. He is a publisher and partner at North Island Graphics Media, which publishes Design Edge Canada for graphic designs, and Graphics Monthly Canada for the commercial printing industry, Masthead for magazine publishers, and websites and trade shows that serve the design, printing, and publishing industries. So as leaders in the publishing world, they all have seen firsthand the dramatic changes to print publications, and yet they've each successfully bridged kind of where we are today and are expanding their reach. It's interesting because we have Mexico, Canada, US. It's all of the Americas, and we talk about how has our world changed? Do we just work regionally, you know, in our own little pockets, or has the globalization that all of our clients have seen, has that really affected creative professionals in the markets that you serve? So in other words, in Mexico, has that changed? Do people work outside of Mexico, or have influences come from globalization?
Yeah, in the recent years, there are, with the internet, there are more possibilities to people access to different image. All the inspiration of the designers is about the image. And, but this is a knife, because very dangerous knife, because the creativity maybe is gone. The people just catch the image, change the little color, move some letter, and say, I have a logo. Yeah, and in Mexico, we don't have a great culture to pay for by design. The entrepreneurs, more than 85% of the entrepreneurs are small companies, and don't like to pay by a draw. They think it's a draw. Don't think in the effort, the force of design to impulse the companies. The companies to invest in graphic design, in branding, or in advertising materials, they're growing so fast than the others. And there is a cultural problem. And another big problem is the printer companies offer for free the design. Just for catch the printing order, said, the design is for free. And designers fight with the printers fight with the designers, and there are no connection. And another problem is a lot of designers to finish the study in the school, and this time we have 50,000 students in Mexico. That's a lot of competition, yeah.
Doug, how about in Canada?
Canada's biggest customer has always been the United States, and the United States is in trouble right now. So that has filtered through the entire economy, including the design industry. So I think designers in Canada are doing two things. One, they're focusing a little bit more maybe on the domestic economy, looking more locally and also looking further afield, and that's a double-edged sword because a Halifax-based company kind of bet the farm and launched an office in Dubai, and then Dubai hit its economic problems, and it ended up bringing down the whole design firm, unfortunately. It's a very multicultural country too, so there's a lot of connections with designers who may come from other countries, I think, and people are exploiting those sorts of ties. So, yeah, it's changed, I'd say, in the last 2 or 3 years with the recession a fair bit. Yeah.
Interesting. Gordon, he blames it on the U.S. Is it all our fault?
No, you blame it on Canada.
Isn't that a song on South Park, Blame
Yes,
Canada? Yeah.
absolutely. It's very hard to generalize about the U.S. market because it's so huge. I mean, the Bureau of Labor Statistics says now that there are 250,000 working graphic designers. And the estimate, even with the marketplace the way it is that it's going to go up to 325,000.
How different is that than,
within the
say,
next few
10
years.
years ago or 15 years ago?
I'm going to say tripled, at least, because we have the same issue as Mexico in that the funny thing is everybody wants to be a designer, and the schools are pouring them out. In terms of globalization, let me give you the sort of consensus design thought leaders view in the U.S. It's really that that globalization or globalism is a great job opportunity. The U.S. Has always profited from what we call globalization, although it depends how you feel about it. Globalization used to mean Americanization and Westernization and the McDonald'sization, if you want to be cynical, of the world. And U.S. business and U.S. designers have always benefited from that. Today's argument is a much more sophisticated one, which is that if Americans become more sensitive to cross-cultural kinds of issues, there are lots of American businesses doing business abroad and lots of foreign countries doing business in the U.S., and if you are cross-culturally sensitive, there are lots of opportunities, and everybody always says China, and that ends the conversation. But I think there's some truth in that. Globalism is creating some job opportunities. Secondly, the thought is that it's making Americans more sensitive than we've been to diversity, to multicultural issues, to what's going on out in the world, and this has led us to have a better vision of one planet, and that has created in an odd way opportunities as well, because the whole green movement and sustainable design has become an opportunity for some design firms. Corporate social responsibility has been embraced by larger corporations, and that's creating corporate reports and annual reports, and there are opportunities from globalism. The third thing is the feeling that globalism is just it's just a good thing, that people get to know each other, they understand each other better, and the world is a better place in which to work. I think all those things are incredibly valid, but I would leave you with a slightly darker thought. Globalism is part of a bundle of things happening in the world that are depressing prices and intensifying competition and depressing prices. And most of our readers are not quite in a position to take advantage of these huge global trends. They work on Main Street, and they depend on local industries and local business, and local business is getting hurt by globalism. You know, I think about Tom Friedman's The World is Flat book and theory, that we're all better off because of the instant communications and sharing of labor forces and all of that. But sometimes I want to reach out and grab him around the neck, and say that that's true in some theoretical sense and over long periods of time, but right now it's dislocating certainly the American economy, and that's not a good thing for most designers, certainly most of the people who read our magazine.